Hello everybody, it's Max McAllister from Traction Dynamics. Hey, all my staff is busy working right now, so I'm gonna have to hold my own camera here today and do some videos. So what we're going to talk about here today, I'm going to do a series of videos on installing our various trunk, quick change, and relocation kits. And so I'm going to just kind of verbally talk through. I've done some other videos on various pieces and portions of this that you can follow. But to just verbally kind of get you down through the teardown process, you'll need to open your saddlebags, remove your side covers, remove the 2 bolts at the front of the saddle that hold the saddle on, disconnect the electrical connector on the saddle under the right side cover. You'll remove the saddle. You'll come to the back of the bike and you'll need to remove the rear fender. That has 2 bolts that kind of hide up in 2 holes here. Most of this stuff uses a 5mm Allen head. You'll need to remove this center, the key lock panel here, so you'll remove the little blind cover over it. There's 2 push pins here, and then 2 more 5mm Allen heads there to take that part loose. Then with the trunk, there's going to be a speaker wire connector over here. If you have your any lighting in your trunk, they're not with the Honda accessories sub harness that goes to the trunk, you'll disconnect that. There is 1 large main connector over here that needs to be disconnected. And by the way, on these kind of large boots where the connectors are, they are really difficult to get to. So I just slotted mine. These are there to just protect the covers from scuffing. But the way Honda packaged them, there's no space to slide the boot down so that you can work on the connector. So I just slit mine with a pair of scissors or a razor blade or whatever. So they're still on there, but it gives me room to pull the connector back to where I can work on the connector. This large one on the left, it looks like the activation's at the top, but it's at the bottom on the lower portion. So if you don't get frustrated with that, look around and keep playing with the connector. So those are the only wires you take loose. There's 2 bolts here that hold the trunk subframe on, and those are just use 12mm heads. So we're trying to take this subframe loose right here. So there's 2 bolts holding that there. We're not going to worry about taking the trunk structure away from the subframe because we're going to deal with that in a whole nother location. You are going to need to take the plastics away from your trunk. So there's several videos on that. I've done some, but there's a handful of screws and a handful of push pins inside. It's one of the ones where you want to be careful not to scratch your trunk covers here. There's some sharp screws underneath the 2 colored side panels. You'll need to take away the center colored panel on the trunk, but we'll deal with the trunk plastics in another place. So now, once you get to here, we've discovered you don't have to take these decorative colored panels away from the trunk. You can just unbolt the bags. So inside each saddlebag, there's 2 bolts on the floor, 1 hiding up in here that are 5mm Allen heads. There's an 8mm regular socket head bolt up here on each side. Once those 4 bolts come loose, the saddlebag will be loose on the bike, and that's enough to get to where you need to be. On the subframe, there's a bracket that hangs down, and on there is a 10mm bolt and a 12mm bolt, and that's what we're headed bolts, which is what we're trying to get to. And so for the technical people out there, when I say 10 and 12, I'm just talking about the tool you're going to use. So don't write me a post and say that's really a 6mm bolt and that's really an 8mm bolt. So, because I know that. I'm just trying to tell people the tool they'll need because that's more expeditious. What you're trying to get to is those 2 bolts. That's what's stopping you from actually making this job quick and easy to do. So, once you've got the factory trunk from that point, the trunk will just lift off completely, and we can go set that on a workbench, and we'll come back to that in another video. So for now, our first step is to install our base bracket kit, and to do that, this is the piece that makes the magic happen. So we have them marked nicely. This is the left piece. The arrows point forward on the bike, and so you'll just put these 2 bolts in. You use the factory hardware that came from Honda. So we designed it so that it's super slick in that fashion, so that you don't have any major trouble, and we don't have to figure out hardware. You just put the bolts right back where you found them. So I'm threading these in. There's not a lot of space in here. That lower bolt, the 2mm one, can be tricky to get to. But the beauty of this kit is you're going to do this one time in your life, and then it's done forever. You'll never have to deal with this ever again. So from this point, the 2 brackets are installed. And I'm going to grab the camera here and bring you over and show you. So here's the bracket that we just installed, right? There's the 10mm headed bolt, there's the 12mm headed bolt. And now that these 2 brackets are here, everything we want to do from here is done from the top. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how we're going to install the Honda support bracket, because I'm going to set this up as a bagger first, and then we'll come back in another video and we'll set up the trunk there. So if you want your bike to be set up as a bagger, you know what? I'm going to stop this video here and do that on another video. That way I just don't make this one too long. So that's how you install the base brackets. From there, just put the hardware back in the saddlebag. Just so that it's all secured, and put the plastics back how you found them, and just leave everything up here the way it is, because from now on, the trunk's just going to go on and off really quickly and easily. So you can rebuild all of this stuff that we took apart on the bike here and get it back, and then you're ready to go for a trunk or bagger shelter installation. So we'll be back with that video in just a minute. Don't forget to share, and please subscribe to my channel.